Good day, strategy gamers, and welcome back to episode 17 of our Let's Play series, 1941 campaign as the Soviets. In this episode, we're going to be going through the beginning of turn 8 here, and it was quite an eventful end of turn as always, as we finished up the last episode. So we're actually going to begin with just a bit of an overview of what happened in the north here by Leningrad, and we're going to take a look at some of the battle results too, because there's quite a few of them to review. We'll start here on the left, and of course this was just a border guard detachment, fully expected, right? They're pushed back. But when we look to the right, look at all of these attacks that they conducted. And I think we'll start here in the south and work our way north. So, total of 4 attacks on this hex. They did end up taking it, but in the first one we managed to hold. They lost 12 armor, and I'm going to keep calling that out because, again, I think it's important to note that the continuous loss of armor for the Axis player is very significant this early on. The second attack, they are just scouting us, nothing really happened. Third attack, we again held. And on the fourth attack, we had to retreat, but you see they did lose 22 armor. Most of them were these Panzer IICs, very light armor. But there were some Panzer IVs too, which are going to kind of be their bulwark of their Panzer armies for the next couple of, well, I'd say for the next year and a half at least. So we ended up having to retreat out of that hex. Really the most disappointing part was losing 5,000 men. Because it's just a lot of men compared to their 400 lost, but the armor that we took out was very good. Looking north, you see they continued their advance. We managed to hold the first time. They lost another 3 armor. The second one, not too much happening there because they were halted. Actually, they were halted very close to the line with shockingly few losses. And then in the last battle, they lost 170 men. We lost 1,300, so obviously not ideal for us. They then continued that advance further east here, where they attacked 3 times. The first, just kind of scouting out our position. Same thing in the second, and the third, they scouted. So 3 scouting attempts, and they never really made much of a threat against Novgorod. In the north here, their total of 4 attacks, they scouted. Then we managed to hold them, held them again. And then finally we ended up retreating, losing 1,000 men. Just to the east of that, there was one attack where we retreated and had a rout. So that's a little unfortunate with the rout being mixed in there. We lost 13 armor. And then they pushed further north, again losing 6 armor. So they had some victories here, but it's not like they were all overwhelming or anything like that. So with that, though, I think when we look at generally the condition of the Leningrad front, we now have to consider, is this the point where we start giving up land to make sure we execute this door pivot? I think there's a couple priorities here. First is to close this gap north of Novgorod, right? Because right now between Novgorod and, I guess that's not a city there, Chidovo, there's this gap in the line where they could just completely break out, and this is very defensible terrain, and we don't want to let that happen, right? The difficulty we're faced with is that in some of these areas, right, Novgorod might get cut off because we have just light woods here, clear terrain here, etc. But I think we need to start doing this door pivot we've been talking so much about, where now these forces start to line up north-south here to defend the line. The very beginning, though, let's start here by Lake Ilmen, because really this isn't of too much strategic importance since they've cut off our connection south of Lake Ilmen, so we can start looking at bringing these forces north, right? So what we're going to do is probably take, I think we're probably going to take these troops here, move them north. This entire stack is going to come north. So that's now the southern perimeter of Novgorod. we also have this unit on reserve. We're going to put them back to the ready status. Everyone's good there. Debating. Don't know that we even have enough movement points, though. Thinking about having one of these rifle divisions maybe go back one to try to get into some better terrain here to defend. Yeah, let's hold on that for now. Up here we've started to build this north-south line. I'm going to move out this Northwest Air Command HQ for now. And really, I think I'm going to take units like this naval infantry and such, and they're going to be kind of the stopping force to try to slow down the advance north towards Leningrad. Whereas these guys here, we're going to move them over to try to get in a position to stop this flanking maneuver that the Germans might be attempting here. So we're going to take all three of those units. So now we have this line where we're 20, 21, 26, right? Very defensive. We have another rifle division over here, which we're just going to, I think, probably reposition to here. Right, to again try to slow down their advance. This 8th Army HQ, I am going to bring back here. We're going to look at these units now to start pulling them back. Let's see, where do we want? We have some rough terrain up here maybe they can sit in. There we go. Let's get this guy up here. This border guard unit, which was routed, I'm going to bring up here. Then this mechanized unit, I think I'll bring kind of they're the most westward force that we have here between us and their advance towards Leningrad. There we go. I think the only area that I'm still concerned about is right here. There's just a defensive value of 4 here. That's really what I'm most worried about. So I'm wondering, can we maybe take like this cavalry division, bring them up here, set them on reserve, and then do we maybe take one of these rifle divisions and set them on reserve in the rear? Let's do that. Set them on reserve too. Except I'm going to have them go here. There we go. Have you stay there. So that way if they do break through, we're in slightly better positions here. Because I'd rather hold a line here than here. Honestly, can I take these guys back even further? Maybe it's best just to take this entire stack north here. That might make more sense. Well, yeah, because I don't want them getting cut off if they do push straight through, so I'm going to pull all 3 of those units back. Because, I mean, that's 30,000 men. Set them to reserve too. Okay. So now we have a slightly better defensive position north-south here. This naval unit, we're just gonna actually probably pull forward, I think. Yeah, let's get them there. There we go. Alright. This guy can probably eventually withdraw back here. But we will have to start looking pretty soon at how we fill in the gap of these 3 hexes to build this continuous line to Leningrad. But I think it's going well so far. I mean, there is a lot of terrain for us to fall back to. The issue is that the more we fall back to the east, the wider our front gets and the more disconnected Leningrad is. I mean, really, Leningrad really is in a very good position, especially if we can hold this northern rail line moving into the city. Right? So that'll be part of the Axis efforts to try to encircle us, most certainly, but we'll see how long we can hold that out. Back here, like, there's this mechanized division, which I think we'll probably put in the city fortification in Leningrad. There we go. But really, I want to try to hold them here, not at Leningrad itself. Okay. And then they've been advancing quite quickly up here in this Baltic Peninsula towards Tallinn, which is fine. We'll let them. I'm really glad, like, if you think about it, they've exerted all of these units moving across this territory that is just unoccupied. It's just taking up trucks and resources and fuel. But to the counterpoint to that is that by the time they do connect with their other forces pushing on Leningrad, that will be a lot of added firepower they have to try to break through. So for now, it feels good. Later, it will feel like it hurts. Now, when we look south of Lake Ilmen, right, we've managed to continue kind of holding our pocket here. The issue at hand is that they have finally brought up forces along the frontier, right? This was all very much so not the case just a turn or two ago. So we have to look at this and say, is there anywhere where we're at serious risk of encirclement or we need to pull back, etc.? And I think so far we're probably okay. But I want to get like some of these cavalry divisions down south here, I think. Right, so they can start helping here. Like this rifle division. Pull up here. Maybe we even go one forward there. Yeah. Here I don't know that we need both of them. So let's maybe do the cavalry division further south. Right, like, does it make sense here or here? Let's bring them all the way down. There we go. Then we have that rifle division. We'll probably move them up here. Really, this is the hex to hold in. This is a buffer because it's the town. Yeah. Okay. We're still looking pretty good here. So we move south. Veliki Luki is in some trouble. And we saw this as the battles were being resolved in the previous episode. Where really they're kind of at serious threat of being cut off here. But I also don't want to forfeit the city. We'll take that tank division to ready. Then I think what we'll do is bring them No, they have to stay there, really. We're going to bring up this rifle division. Do I maybe just leave one infantry division here to defend Veliky Luki instead of losing both? Those are some pretty strong units. I think I'd rather have them over here helping with... Yeah. Or even north maybe here. Yeah, let's think about that for a minute. And this guy is just in trouble. A number of units back here. Set them to... Now they still need to be on refit. Okay. Let's at least set them on their HQ unit then. So the question at hand, do we take a rifle division from Veliky Luki and put them either north or south? Trying to think of which is more vulnerable, and I want to say south because of the pressures being put on Smolensk and its impending, what would appear to be encirclement. So I think we're going to put them south. And they're both pretty equal in strength, but we're going to take the weaker of the two, which would be the 280th. And I'm going to move them right down here. And then we're going to take the unit that was here and leapfrog them over. And then we can take this guy, move him here. Can I take you off refit? You're probably... Oh yeah, okay, you're okay. So what I have to do now is find a way to hold this hex here from them breaking out. So the answer may be taking you over. It might be leaving a hole there. Don't want to though. Don't want to do that. Let me take this mechanized unit up here. You know, let's do that. There we go. What do we have in the rear? Is tank division ready to go yet? See, it's TOE. They're, all things considered, that's really good. So maybe I do something with the 13th Tank Division. Let's move them forward here. And we're also going to move forward this Rifle Division. So that gets us up to 12 defensive value. That Tank Division's on reserve. That makes sense. Smolensk. Oh my Smolensk. How you are slowly being encircled. So I think what we want to do is take this guy and pull him back. Well, maybe I leave him and not forfeit that position so easily. I think I'm going to leave him there. And really one of the questions at hand is how do we protect these two hexes to prevent that encirclement better than they're already being protected? I feel like the answer comes in getting the 252nd rifle up into one of these two hexes. So let's take this tank division that's on refit. 252nd rifle comes up. There we go. So now we're at over 20 defensive value. In this hex, we're 22 here. And we can actually take the HQ unit out. And let's see what we can move down now to help with that. Do we maybe take this rifle division south? They kind of need it here too, though. So many decisions. I'm going to take this rifle division there. So that gets us to 26. I want to find out how to help this hex more. I think the answer is going to be in taking out this tank division. And then how do we get in a good amount of men there? Let's take this rifle division up. So that gets us to 15, 19. That's looking better, right? I mean, that's looking much better. If we hold Smolensk another turn, I'm just going to be stunned. It's over 100 defensive value here. That's crazy. Do we have anything we can attach for support units? We do. Let's, is it maybe worth attaching some tank battalions? Let's do it. Why not? It's as good a spot of any to have them. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Oh, nothing. Same thing. Tank division can't have any. Okay. So this is probably the weakest part in our line right now. How do we get someone here to help? Can I take you off refit? You know what? I'd love to have you be on refit and keep resting, but I just need to throw you into the front. It's defensive value of 8 now. You're on reserve. I set you to reserve. I can. You can be on refit, that's fine. Oof, you guys are hurting. Alright. You're good to go. Where can I get you? Probably over here. That brings us up to 5. And then how do I get even more there? The 1/19th. Looks like it's in the best position for helping out. Gets us up to 8. Okay. Not by any stretch of the imagination ideal, but it's something. All right. I hear this HQ. I'm going to move back. We're going to move up this rifle division. Yes, we are at risk of them breaking through all through here. They're probably going to push us back some here. But we're continuing to hold Smolensk, which is really an amazing thing to say aloud. And every turn that we hold too, our fortification levels get better and better. So it really is quite exciting to see that. Let's take a look actually at battle reports here, because since Stalingrad we haven't really looked at too many. So let's start here by Veliki Luki. So they went here first in this hex with four advancements. They scouted us and lost 13 armor, which just makes my day. They're scouting with Stug 3s. Okay. That's one way to do it, I guess. And third attack. Lost a couple more Stugs. Fourth attack. Lost another 7. They were all the Panzerjäger 35s. We lost 68, but it's all these things like the T-26, the BT-7s. They're just so useless to us. Let's see then how they advanced up here. So we were routed. That tank division was. Okay. And over here, 6 attacks. So we held. Then we took out 3 armor. With really no significant losses. and another 2, another 1. They're just scouting us there. And finally we retreated and lost 2,000 men. I held them out 6 times though. Over here we held out 4 times. Well, 3 times we held. Lost 6 armor. And lost another 9 armor. Look at that. There's a mixed bag, right? 2 of Panzer IVs, PZ-38s. Lost another 5 here. They threw 340 armor at us here. We lost 6,500 men. Wow. That's tough. Looking further to the east, we're just routed here, nothing too big to cover. Here we retreated. They didn't actually make an advance on Smalensk in that turn. They did attack to the east here, though, 7 times. It's incredible. So we held. No big losses here. They lost 400 men that time. Another 360. Another 90. Wow. Finally we retreated, having lost 4,000 men there on the 7th attack. But that's chewing up a lot of their combat prep when they're going through and doing all of that. Oh, over here, by the way, this was them trying to get this unit that's behind enemy lines. And I mean, that is just shocking. They've not been able to solve for them. Over here, we held, then pushed back. Okay. So really it wasn't quite as intense on the Smolensk front as it was in the previous turn, in between turns 6 and 7. And we're still managed to hold our own. And again, when we look at the historical capture dates, we see that Smolensk was captured July 10th, 1941. It's now August 10th. They are a full month behind schedule there. Actually, let's take a look at some others here, right? So, over here, this is July 10th. October 4th, they got here, so they might get that or get that ahead of schedule. Over here, July 14th, 15th, 19th. So they're a little ahead of schedule on the flanks of Smolensk. And when we look up here, I mean, it's pretty close. They're 10 days ahead of schedule. Not too much. When we look north near Leningrad, you see that they are very much ahead of schedule. Which, if we recall, right, to like the very beginning episodes we had in the entire series, was that in the north here, past Riga and such, we did an all-out retreat. Like, we did not try to hold this at all. We went straight back to Peskov and just sat there. So that kind of makes sense to me when I think about it. Now the question's going to be, oh, and I was thinking it was July 10th, and it was August 10th. Okay, so they're actually behind schedule in a lot of these areas. And August 10th would put them 10 days ahead of schedule here. They were supposed to have captured Novgorod here this last turn, but they failed to do so. So actually on the flanks, we're doing better than I had originally thought. So by August 10th, it would have been more like here. So that's good news. It's a little bit of encouragement, right? When you're sitting here going, I have to manage the entire theater of war with over 400 divisions. What do I do? And you find out that you're managing to hold on. It's a pretty good feeling. So, looking past Smolensk, we need to take a look at the defense between Smalensk and Ariel. So let's take a moment to do that. So, just the high level look is that I'm actually pretty happy with a lot of this. It's like you see here we have 31, 37, 19, 8, 6, 8, 5, a little lower there. Okay, sure. But we're actually looking pretty strong now that we finally have managed to get dug in a little. And we're going to continue to try to reinforce these positions. Like here we have this airborne brigade that just needs to be put on refit, it looks like. But Things actually are going okay over here. And if they take a hex or two in this entire front every turn, that's honestly fine, because one hex at a time moving towards Tula, we're going to be in winter. So we're good, right? Like that is just perfectly fine. And I think we certainly have plenty to slow them down with, too. Looking over here near Bryansk, just all around, I'm pretty happy with how it's going here. I have 33, 22. The only area now where I'm looking and getting worried, though, is south of Bryansk. Maybe we jump to that next. Is just, we only have 2 defensive value here, 5, 1, 11. And as I've talked about, this is a concern for me, because once they break through this patch of forest, it is all clear terrain for their panzers to go through. It's really worrisome. And trying to form a defensive perimeter around Kursk is very similar to the difficult conversations we were thinking about last episode with Kharkov. And they're going to capture Kursk again. We have to be realistic about this. They will capture it, but it's just, for as long as possible, I want to try to slow them down. And when we look at it here, they are, unlike the other parts north of the front here, they are very much ahead of schedule. And actually, this is a little, this coincidence, if you will, makes all the sense in the world when you really think about it. I have said all series long, Moscow and Leningrad, Moscow and Leningrad. We will remain very firm on Moscow and Leningrad, because if they don't take those two, we should be just fine, right? Well, Moscow and Leningrad can be summed up by the defense of Smalensk and Novgorod and those types of things. And pretty much from Novgorod down through Smalensk, we have held them to schedule. South of Smolensk, the Axis forces are ahead of schedule. So it really does kind of reinforce that the strategy is having the implications you would expect on the map. So all of that overview strategy talk aside, let's look at how we try to solve for the defense south of Bryansk, though. I think what I might need to do is actually take like one of these tank divisions, and if they're ready, I might use this one. And like take this and have them be a reserve back here to try to help. And I think I'll take this one in Ariel and do the same thing, because they very much so are ready to go. So let's bring them south here. One of the reasons I am bringing up these tank divisions is, put them there, is they have a number of panzer divisions here. 17th, 18th, 3rd, 10th, plus the Das Reich SS motorized division, plus the Grossdeutschland motorized regiment. Those are some serious guns they're pulling out there. This unit, I don't know what to do about you, because you are just not going to survive. If I just withdraw you back here to the forest, that opens up, though, so much for them to advance towards Ariel, though. Actually, the more I think about this, the more I'm now worried about Ariel instead of Kursk, because they can get completely in behind us, bypassing Bryansk if they get south here. So I think we need to be more concerned with that, actually. These guys on refit just need to adjust that. Like this rifle division we're going to bring down here, I think. There we go. Yeah, I think we need to take back, like, this tank division here. That really doesn't help much, does it? So let's set them on reserve. I just have them right there at the front. That rifle division can move up, though. you're not ready to go yet. Okay. This might have to be our next point of where reinforcements come in. Because they could sweep north from Ariel and take quite a bit of ground, which would be quite problematic. Do I even maybe like give up this hex? No, I think I'll hold it. Let's see if we can't have some of you guys withdraw too. Yeah, let's do this. Let's take you here. Okay. I might as well just set you to refit. Yeah, it's going to be a little problematic, guys. Not sure how we're going to handle that. What do we have in reserves that we can bring in next turn? So it looks like 4 rifle divisions. Motorized regiment, maybe. Mechanized division isn't quite there yet. I have some tank brigades that are getting there. These cavalry divisions could be thrown into the mix. Yeah. Okay. And in the other theater boxes, because we had actually talked about this, so maybe we need to... It's like the Far East is 133% in ground units. Maybe I end up taking a couple of rifle divisions here and transferring them. And I think I'm just going to do that now before I forget about this. So we're just going to transfer these, I think. Do the same in the Northern Theater. Probably do the same in the Transcaucasus. Okay. So maybe that'll help out. We can bring them in somewhere back here, right? Because we have to be at least 10 hexes away from the enemy front. We can start looking at how we're going to defend Ariel. And you know, maybe we start taking a really high level look at this and say, let's now start strategizing how we build a defensive perimeter from this area, this pocket of Ariel, over towards this forest line in Vornez, and like maybe we build it along this river here. I'm not really sure. There aren't a whole lot of options to try to protect all of this country here, short of just massive embankment or fortification levels. That will be the great challenge, I think, and probably the most pressing thing to consider coming out of this episode. All right. But guys, what a time. Loving this this scenario. If you have now gotten your feet under you with this game, I would strongly suggest trying the 1941 scenario. I think by far it's the most popular, but I think it's most popular usually being played as the Axis, that rush to Moscow, that is so famous in so many different game titles over the years. But I gotta say that the Soviet perspective on that struggle has really been quite the challenge that I've enjoyed. And I think it'll have a special meaning too, that if we are successful, if we do make it through the winter of 41, to see how we could maybe start from where we left off in 41, like kind of where did we get pushed back to, and then to follow our advance from there back towards Berlin. It's going to be a very long Let's Play series. I mean, we're going to be doing this probably until the holidays at least, if not into next summer. So gonna look forward to it, and it's gonna be a good time. Thanks so much, guys, for your support, giving the videos a watch. And if you got any questions or comments, please toss them below in the comments section. As always, strategy gamers, hoping you have yourselves an excellent day. Bye now.